We too were there. Journey with me to the book of Genesis chapter 16. This is where Hagar makes her first appearance. Hagar was an Egyptian slave to Abraham's wife Sarah. Sarah told her husband to sleep with Hagar and they conceived the child. Hagar was mistreated by Sarah to the point where she fled away to the desert. Just like Hagar, oftentimes in our lives, we flee from what is uncomfortable and not pleasant. We learn from Hagar that sometimes we have to stay in a situation, even if it's hard, to be obedient to God. From Hagar's story, we are reminded that God sees and hears us in adversity. An angel of the Lord spoke to Hagar while she was in the desert and reassured her that God was with her and that she needed to go back to Abraham and Sarah. Genesis chapter 16, verse 8 says, the angel said to Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress, Sarah, she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. And the angel said, you are now pregnant, and I will give you a son. You will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears. For the Lord has heard your cry of distress. In Genesis 13, Hagar says, you are the God who sees me. Now over a decade has passed when Hagar makes her another appearance in Genesis chapter 21. She is still facing more adversity. During these verses, we see that Hagar and her son Ishmael have to leave their home and are sent to the desert. Eventually, their food supply and water supply runs dry. We see that Hagar doesn't want to see her child in pain, and she finds a place not too far from her son to cry out to God. God quickly reminds her that he's a provider in the times of trouble, and he's a promise keeper. He always shows up when you're about to give up. Genesis chapter 21, verse 15. When the water was gone, she put the boy in the shade of the bush. Then she went and sat down by herself about 100 yards away. I don't want to watch the boy die, she said, as she burst into tears. But God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God told Hagar from heaven, Hagar, what's wrong? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Go to him and comfort him, for I will make a great nation from his descendants. Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well full of water. She quickly filled the water container and gave it to the boy. As I close, be reminded that God sees and hears us in every situation. Just like the angel called Hagar by name, God also knows our name and walks with us every step of the way. Whatever you face in life, always remember that God will give you what you need to go through what you have to go through to get what he has in store for you. So even though Hagar had to go through some rough times, God still fulfilled his promises to her. Hagar went on to be the first woman in the Bible to pick a wife for her son. She went back to Egypt, a country in Africa, to pick a wife for her son, Ishmael, which signifies that the Egyptian roots continues through Ishmael's descendants, so we were there too.